We're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time with John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of fair Gotham, and welcome to Bat Minute of the Phantasm, the show that is always pedal to the metal. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And here I come, you lousy, stinking listeners. It's me, Niall McGowan.
I mean, our listeners know we have great disdain for them in general, so that makes perfect sense. You're all awful. We hate you.
Tune in every week to be like, you assholes. Let me tell you what I hate about you this week.
But someone we don't hate is our returning guest. Once more, we are joined by Cleok.
Hello, hello.
Woo! You're exempt from the hatred, so.
Thanks.
Yeah, once you got bumped up to guest, that's me like, now you're infallible. But once you're a lowly listener, like,
It's when you stop asking me back, then I know I'm in trouble.
No, unfortunately for you, you're asked back all the time.
I was really enjoying this week the news story about Eva Green.
Oh yeah,
going up in court where they've been reading at her. It's pretty embarrassing. Reading at her like personal WhatsApp messages. But it's her talking about like this movie that she's trying to sue to get her fee on because the movie got cancelled and stuff. But basically all her WhatsApp messages are saying like, oh, they want me to work with some shitty peasant crew and all this kind of business, and just insulting the director up and down and all this kind of stuff. But people are really calming on to like the fact that like this glamorous French actress who you think's probably like, you know, part of the elite, calling the crew peasants and stuff, and like she's really had to defend the fact that like, well, if I work on a B movie, that makes me a B actress, and that means that's going to tarnish my reputation. And when I say peasants, I'm French. Like it's like it doesn't mean the same thing. Like I just mean unprofessional crew. I don't mean like I'm calling them commoners or something like that.
It's a bad use of words, though, even if you're French. But it's also not enough to say she's a horrible person. She's probably just stressed out, you know.
There's a weird article from The Guardian about it where they're like, it's great that she's like this because we want our Hollywood elite to be snooty assholes who think they're above everyone. It's like, no, you don't.
Since
like, what
when?
the hell is this?
Yeah, that makes me hate them.
My favourite ones are the ones where you're like, oh, there's such a lovely person in real life.
Yes, we are here to talk about minute 5. And the minute starts with a visible failure, and it ends with an invisible departure.
Oh, yeah.
So we
Phantasm is out, baby.
Yes, we are back as Chuckie Saul has made an absolute fool of the Phantasm. Not the best way to start your supervillain career, really, is it?
Yeah.
I've been owned by this random gangster. You're meant to be a supervillain. You're meant to be going up against the Bat, and no, just some gangster guy has made you look like an idiot.
This is like, well, hope nobody saw that, and then just like that same car who was there in the previous minute, like, oh, sorry, we forgot our keys, man.
Yeah, well, I love here as well the animation on old Chuckie boy, because initially he does look scared. Like, it's really well done art, and he's like, oh God. But that doesn't last because of what's occurred. There's a shift in his demeanor that really comes across somehow in the animation, where he falls into the trap of like, I got away with it. And you see that shift. It's really well done.
And then I do like that as a thing. Is just like he's so terrified up until he has a slight bit of upper hand, and he just the hubris of like, oh, you could just run, Chuckie, you might get away.
Yeah.
But he's just, no, I got. Not even like I gotta make sure it's dead. It's just more like, no, I got you, you piece of crap. Like he's really like, I'm gonna enjoy killing you. You know.
I suppose as a crime boss, though, like if you see weakness, that's when you take advantage, isn't it? So maybe he's used to that way of suddenly having to be like, oh, I can get you, I can own you.
Oh, that's true, actually. Combining that with what we were saying last minute about the Phantasm showing sort of a human side to them, that is probably what makes him then go, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to finish them off. Because anyone else would be like, nah, I'm out of here.
Exactly. They just leg it down after the other car.
Yeah.
He was doing such a good job of legging it before as well. He was so cowardly previously. And then he is cowardly again because, I say cowardly when your freaking car goes flying off a thing. I guess it's okay to get let out like a wah!
Well, then, he's gonna run the Phantasm over. That's what he his intention is. I get it in a way, because if he doesn't do it, they're just going to come after him again, right? They're not going to let this lie. So I understand, but I'm in support of the tactical retreat. I think fight this battle when you're ready on your own terms.
Yeah.
But Chuckie's like, nah, gonna run him down. And we do, I can only describe it as, we do see the Phantasm doing a Jedi jump.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. As I was watching, I was just like, impressive. Most impressive.
Impressive. That's the only thing, right? The original Star Wars has that crazy Jedi jump. And they bring that back in the prequels. That makes sense in the prequels. The Jedi can move really quick. All the other random crap they give them, no. I don't want to see my Jedis doing weird magic power. That's not what it is in the first one, except for the jump.
Yeah. But, maybe a little nod to, the Star Wars royalty, who's also in the movie, but...
Could be. But I don't find people really talked about that jump until you got stuff like that in the prequels. Like, I know Luke did it, but it wasn't like a big thing. Like, oh my God, was it? You just kind of go, oh, okay, you can jump really high, okay.
The Vader said it all. It's like, it's impressive.
Most impressive.
It's most impressive, yeah.
But he's also not, like, mind blown. He's just like, cool.
Yeah. I do have to ask, though. So do you guys think Chucky Saul looks like Dick Miller? Do you think they deliberately animated him to look a little? Because there's a little bit of like, he kind of does resemble him. Like, I was wondering if they did like the animation, like they based him on, like they're like, oh, we already had the voice down, so we'll just kind of make him look a bit like that, or what the mentality was.
Maybe, maybe it's just though when you're sort of animating, which order is it done? Like, is the voice done after? You'd assume the voice is done after, I presume. In which case, they're either inspired by him, or it's just that we're seeing it because the voice and the face are sort of merging.
I think what I've gathered is that they do the voice track first, and then the animators do it as closely as they can to sync, and then they bring the actors back in to do like additional dubbing to kind of make sure that it syncs in perfectly.
Okay.
So it's kind of like they're working very broadly with like, so we kind of are able to do it with the initial audio, and then if it just doesn't look right, they're like, okay, come back in and then make it a bit more finessed and stuff.
I think that makes it more likely then that there's a similarity there, because if you've already got the voice and you're drawing it, you're more likely to kind of even subconsciously bring that in.
Yeah. So I'll just also put in the chat too, because it reminded me within the Batman animated series, there's also a gangster called the Jazz Man in the episode I Am the Night, and if you look at him, he's so blatantly Jack Palance that it's like, he's gonna play Grissom in '89, right? And then you just look at it, it's like, I'm surprised Jack Palance didn't sue you, because it's just so clearly that's who it is.
You could always say it's an homage.
I guess, yeah. It wasn't coming in. They weren't doing like you are my number one, guy, or anything like that to kind of take the piss. But
they should have done that. Every movie needs that.
Yeah. Should also mention, of course, that Dick Miller did work with Jack Palance and stuff back in the day. Like he's, because he was just in a bunch of westerns and stuff, and like all those old actors are just like, yeah, of course I was in such and such with such and such, and I met Dennis Hopper, and I met Harry Dean Stanton, and I met and of course I also mentioned Dick Miller's first ever role apparently too was in a crappy no budget western called Apache Woman, where he played a character called Tall Tree, and as soon as I saw that I was like, oh god no, because that it's like he's a white man. And it's back in the 50s, and he's blatantly playing a Native American. Sure enough, if you look it up, it's just Dick Miller doing a Native American accent.
Oh, dear.
And pretending, put on a wig to give him long hair. And
I'm not going to hold it against him personally, because back then that wasn't considered an issue. But nowadays, I don't need to see that.
It makes you uncomfortable, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. But should also mention, of course, though, that from the various things that he did do, he also worked on the Batman animated series, but not as Chucky Saul. It's always so close to Chucky Doll. I keep wanting to call him Chucky Doll. And I guess Mark Hamill also voiced the Chucky doll down the line.
Oh, everything's connected.
I'm sure you. I don't know if have you watched the Child's Play remake, Claire, or would you consider that an abomination?
No, I watched it in the cinema.
Oh.
You saw it in the cinema. You're giving money to them. What the hell are you doing?
I'll admit, I haven't seen it at all.
I have an unlimited card, so I get to just go see films whenever I like.
I've got one, but I've got no one to go with because Niall goes to watch movies like at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday when I'm at work.
Yeah. I'm the miserable guy. It's like, I don't want anyone else in the theater with me. I will go out of the way to make sure I'm in there by myself.
Yeah, the friends I used to go with have moved to Yorkshire, so I'm sort of solo now. But the other week I just was like, right, go get some tasty food, go to the cinema, and I did consider doing a double feature sort of situation, but my bottom hurt from sitting down too long, so I went home.
I feel your pain. Like once you're sat in that chair for 2 hours, as soon as that 2 hour mark hits, I'm like, I can't sit here anymore.
And all the films that were sort of lining up close enough as well were like 3 hours. I was like, I can't take it. I can't take it.
No.
So Dick Miller also did, he worked on episodes of the Batman animated series, which would be remiss if we did not bring up, as a character called Boxy Bennett, who was also a gangster. And he also ran like a casino, but his one was like underground. It was in a very old film noirish term. He ran a numbers racket, which is basically I looked up. What is a numbers racket? Apparently, is they kept calling it the Italian lottery and all this kind of stuff.
You know what?
Like,
I've heard that phrase so many times, the numbers racket, and I've never actually questioned what it is.
Apparently, it's some. I got because even looking at it, I was like, I still don't quite understand what this is. But I'm sure people, because it's like it still exists as an illegal activity, even though like, certain states have gambling legalized and stuff. So it was just very like, I don't quite understand what this is. Like, what's the problem with it and stuff? So the numbers game, also known as the numbers racket, the Italian lottery. Mafia, seeing the Italian lottery kind of makes it feel like it's turning into a little bit of racist.
I was thinking that. Like, it's not just Italians who are gangsters.
Yeah. Mafia lottery, or the daily number, is a form of illegal gambling or illegal lottery played mostly in poor and working class neighborhoods in the States, wherein a bettor attempts to pick 3 digits to match those that will be randomly drawn the following day. For many years, the number has been the last 3 digits of the handle, the amount racetrack bettors placed on race day at a major racetrack, published in racing journals and major newspapers in New York. The gamblers take place bets with a bookmaker, or the bookie, at a tavern, bar, barbershop, social club, blah, 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 blah. Runners carry the money and betting slips between the betting parlors and the headquarters called a numbers bank. So it kind of seems like it's under-the-counter gambling, but in a very specific way. Like, I don't know if it's got more chance of you winning it or something, or...
Well, I guess there's less people playing it.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of like, The Simpsons. Like, Moe seems to be running a racketeering gig, and that, Homer keeps betting on the Super Bowl and all that stuff. They always go to the early days Simpsons. They go to Moe, and he'd always have like, "Oh yeah, I'm out of the bookie business," and then he'd be, "Oh, you've been taking bets all my shut up, rub it up," all that kind of. But yeah, I'm still not entirely sure what it is. It's just like racketeering. Numbers racket. That's what Boxy Bennett did.
I mean, I still don't fully understand legal betting. Like the odds and all that. I don't know what's going on.
No, I'm not a gambler. If I ever put money on anything, in my child, like when I was a kid, my dad would be like, "Do you want to put on for one of the horses for the Grand National or something?" Which I wouldn't even do now, and obviously poor horses. Yeah. But I'd just be like, "Ooh, I like their outfit and name."
Yeah.
The odds wouldn't matter. It would just be like, yep, that one. They look shiny.
Oh yeah, I think the one time I ever put a bet on a horse was because it was called Carlito Brigante.
Oh,
it was Pacino's character in Carlito's Way, and I was so hoping the horse was going to come out wearing like a leather jacket with like a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and a goatee, and it's like, all this racing, I'm tired.
Please tell me it did. If you tell me it didn't, Niall, I'm gonna leave the show.
No, it was just it was a bog standard horse, and it didn't even come in like last or anything. It was just like, this is a mid range horse,
Mid.
I was like. Yeah, totally mid. But yeah, Boxcar Bandit features in 2 episodes of the Batman animated series, both of them written by Paul Dini, both of them prominently featuring Harley Quinn. The episode's Harley Quinnade, which is quite... It's a little ingenious title, because apparently part of like the old-timey shows where you would have had a Harlequin, like a jester and stuff, the part of the section of like the whole show presented to like the royalty that centered around the jester was called the Harlequinade. But also it's about Batman going to Harley Quinn for help because he needs to track down the Joker because the Joker's got a nuclear bomb. And basically Harley then goes to like one of their old hideouts, and that's the thing, they call him Boxcar, quotes, Boxy Bennett. I was like, I'm pretty sure his actual name isn't Boxcar.
No,
like,
absolutely not. That's a nickname.
Yeah, so it should be like, Jeff Boxcar Boxy Bennett or something, but I guess they just never gave him a proper name. He's in there, and Harley sings a song that's kind of got very dark lyrics about, it's like a love song, but it's also about like, please don't throw that acid in my face and all this like horrific stuff that, presumably what her and the Joker have been up to together. Although apparently it's based on, it actually is like an old number from the 1940s, so I guess it was just a humorous song about actual spousal abuse that might have been going on back then. But yeah, great. And then Dick Miller's in there, flirts up a storm with Harley Quinn. She ends up destroying his casino. And the episode is just fantastic. Like, it just has a little nod to The Simpsons actually at the end too. Like the Joker going for Harley and doing like a "why you little," like probably trying to strangle her and stuff. And from that then leads on to the second episode, which is called Harley's Holiday, which is when Harley gets cured. It's a very questionable plot line in terms of like, I don't know how long it's been, but she's like deemed by Arkham to be sane. And she's just let go. And she accidentally steals a dress. And it starts spiraling into kind of like, all the Harley episodes are very slapsticky and stuff. Very, very cartoony, very old style cartoon. Kind of like a Judy Holiday comedy kind of thing too. And then she ends up like, Harvey Bullock's trying to track her down because he wants to arrest her, and then Boxcar Bennett wants to kill her because of her destroying the casino in the previous episode. And then it ends up with like Boxcar Bennett getting his trousers pulled down and stumbling around, and he ends up getting arrested by Bullock himself. And it kind of escalates into like a Blues Brothers-esque. There's like a billion people chasing her and all this kind of stuff. Both of the episodes are like perfect examples of how you should be playing Harley Quinn, because it's the guy who created her showing you this is what the character's like. Instead, now Harley's been adapted to varying degrees of success because people are like, they don't quite get her, But and then Boxy Bennett appears in a couple of issues of like expanded comics and stuff. Last time you see him is when he's in the issue Batman Adventures 6, Playing with Matches, where Bruce Wayne goes undercover as Matches Malone to infiltrate the False Face Society. And he teams up with Firefly, of course played by Brendan Fraser in the Batgirl movie that we're not getting now.
Not played by Brendan Fraser, seemingly, because we're not going to see it.
Yeah. And because Boxy's not been paying his protection money to the False Face Society, Firefly and Matches Malone burned down his new racketeering outfit. And Bruce Wayne just flat out hits him in the face with a flamethrower. That's the last you ever see of Boxy Bennett. But because we're coming to the end of Chuckie Saul here, I was kind of like, well, the other Dick Miller character we will be mentioning, of course, the expanded universe of the animated series and the False Face Society, because it was led by Black Mask and the Phantasm. So
everything's connected.
We'll be getting back to it, baby.
Would you say that that character looks a bit like Dick Miller as well, or not? Since we were saying about the animation possibly looking like Dick Miller for Chuckie Saul, would you say there's any similarity?
I don't think he does as much. No, he looks a lot more dynamic than. I'm trying to actually find a.
Maybe it's a young, hip Dick Miller.
Yeah. Oh, I seen Dick Miller when he was young. He was not hip. See Bucket of Blood. Actually, should mention that was the thing I forgot to bring up when we were talking about Bucket of Blood. They remade that movie. I didn't know until doing the research. They remade Bucket of Blood in the mid-90s. This is, of course, people can't remember, is the movie where Dick Miller becomes an artist by accidentally killing a cat and covering it in clay and then killing people and stuff.
Yeah.
They remade it in the 90s, and the character of Walter Paisley was played by Anthony Michael Hall, who, of course, would go on to be in The Dark Knight. So
everything is connected again.
Yeah. Also, co-stars Jennifer Coolidge, weirdly, and it was the feature film debut of Will Ferrell, I found out.
Whoa.
Wow, that's a bit random, isn't it?
Yeah. And you look at the poster, it looks like they just turned it into porn. Like, it's just like, oh, it's a cheap, like, DTV remake of Bucket of Blood, which is about what Bucket of Blood deserves, because it is a proper cheap old movie anyway. And then again, that's Will Ferrell's screen debut before SNL, I guess, was just like, he was in this remake of Bucket of Blood with Anthony Michael Hall. So,
that is crazy, though. Holy crap.
But yeah. So let's see, Bloxy Bennett. I'll see what you guys think. Actually, no, you say it, Claire. Maybe there is a resemblance.
But is it now because you're looking for it?
Yeah, exactly. Is it that you could say anyone looks a bit like that or something? I don't. It's hard to say, isn't it?
It was very clearly based on Whoopi Goldberg, I think. Yeah.
Closer to Whoopi than Dick.
At least they look quite different from Chuckie Soul. They don't look like Chuckie Soul, so I'll give them that. But going back to the minute that we're on, I just want to say about before the jump that we were saying about before the possible Star Wars jump. I liked that they included like a moment where the Phantasm looks kind of startled and a bit like they're like, oh God,
Yeah.
Like they are kind of doubting what's going on. I like that addition, that you can get that with just some, good drawing.
Well, it adds more intrigue, doesn't it? So you're like, well, who is this?
It does have a kind of, a crouched, skimmed knee kind of quality to like, oh, I shouldn't have done this, man.
Exactly. But then they jump out. They jump out of the car and they kick ass, really.
Yeah. Although Sol, for some reason, keeps his foot on the damn pedal after they jump, like the idiot. He doesn't try and stop. He just keeps on going, which leads to what you talked about just then, the jump, so to speak. Sends him hurtling out of the side of the building. As I imagine it would if you kept your foot on the damn pedal.
Yeah. I suppose, he does have a good long lead up that he could stop at any moment. Maybe he was worried that, like, oh, if I stop, it won't slow down enough. I'll just hit the wall and die that way, or...
I think he does brake, because you hear the sound of the wheels, like, against the floor, like this. It's like he is trying to brake, but it doesn't look like he's braking, if you see what I mean. You hear the noise, but the motion doesn't agree.
Yeah. Like, couldn't he at least, like, swerve or something?
Maybe the brakes have been cut. Don't know.
Also, again, could be, though. If we go along with the mentality that the Phantasm could have sneaked blanks into his gun and stuff, they were there beside his car when, the Phantasm first emerges, is hanging out by Chuckie Soul's car. It could have been just, slipped the brakes. So even if he got away, the car would have crashed and stuff. So yeah, it makes total sense. Can't fault them on it. So,
well, him going so fast that he jumps across the gap and into the building opposite, like, holy crap! This is some Fast and Furious action right here. Which one did that happen in? Was it 7, where they're in Dubai or whatever?
Oh, I can't remember. The Fast and Furious, it could be like, oh, it happened in like a bunch of them.
Yeah, probably.
I must say, I have not seen all of those films. I've seen the first one and parts of others, but yeah, it's not really my thing.
Particularly too, Claire, you got an unlimited card. Well, you got no excuse not to be seeing these Fast and Furious movies.
I'd rather use my time on horror films. horror films and sci-fi.
Yeah, I'm sure when Fast 10 Your Seatbelts arrives, there'll be like we're showing all 9 of them in a row. Like, you can go in, just turn your ass off, and just admit you're going to just, concede to going numb down there, and then just sit through all of them.
And it'll be worth every second of pain.
Speaking of pain, Chuckie Soul, of course, also should note, because you get more pronounced later in the movie, but he does have, notably, a little bit of blood on his chin, which is a thing. It's just like, we're not playing on kids' TV anymore, everybody. Like, we get to put a little bit of blood on this guy. So I can say that the animator's really going like, oh my God, we made it. We finally made it. And of course, then goes, flying out the side and into the lower floor of the next building, which is a pretty cool death. I'll give him that. Like, only thing I would have added would have been like maybe a shot of the mangled car on the other side, maybe seeing like his hand at the side, blood going down.
Yeah, I felt like maybe just to add that, just a hand, like you say, a hand and a dribble of blood would have done the trick.
Yeah.
Maybe they were really pushing it with the blood as it is, though, and it's like, we're going to get in trouble here.
Yeah, I suppose you assume if they've done all that, they're probably going to be dead.
I don't know. Do you think he's dead?
Oh, he's definitely dead. Like,
I mean, he's already smashed through, like, it's not just glass, is it? Because the bottom part of it is like something solid.
Oh, it's like concrete.
So that's already smashed into cast. So probably already the legs are gone before he's even gone across to the other building and smashed through another set of glass, which has probably gone through like his head or neck or something, you know?
Decapitated.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also this weird Gotham where it's both futuristic and incredibly old-fashioned. So they could be like, oh, we don't have, like, seat belts or like a crash cushion or anything like that. There's nothing going to come out of the wheel to protect them. It's just like, no, we haven't got that. We do have like nuclear bombs and lasers and stuff. But it's saying like we see like in the next minute Bruce Wayne watching a black and white TV. You're like, what era is this? This makes no goddamn sense.
But I love that because it makes me think of the Burton movies. I think I said this last week. I don't want to know when it's set. I kind of like the idea that it's sort of our world, but also not. And it's, you can't put it in a time or place, really. I like that.
I think as well with things like TV and stuff, you've got to keep it about when it's being made, because otherwise people they can't suspend belief over that. Whereas something like lasers and that, people just accept that that's the future.
Yeah. That's like almost shorthand for future. Lasers.
Exactly. So by having the TV the same, if you had the TV more complicated, people are more likely to later go, oh, well, that's not how TV's turned out, whereas people just go, yeah, lasers, like people can float, they could they've got bulletproofness, and, totally.
Yeah.
It's just mental though. Within our lifetime, it was so like unimaginable in the future. Like you'll be able to like talk to people through TV and stuff. Like you'll be able to see them. It won't just be a phone call. It'll be like a video call, and now it's just a thing you carry around in your pocket all the time. Like, oh god, some asshole's FaceTiming me. Yeah. And it's like, but back when I was a kid, I was like freaking having like a flying car or something. It was so outlandish that you could do that.
I always wanted as a kid to have a video phone, because all the futuristic movies had them, and now I've essentially got one. I've done one video call in my life. That's it.
I never did them until lockdown, and then it sort of got normalized then, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think for most people who aren't violently against them like me, because I'll just look at myself as well. I'm not going to look at you.
I do love that meme though of like me looking at myself in the video chat, and it's always people kind of like doing these little poses.
That's what I do.
Like,
that's the problem.
I will admit that I do end up looking at myself thinking, oh god, it's like, how stupid do I look right now to everybody else?
Well, that's the thing. It's not even a vanity issue, really. It's like you can't not look at you, because how often do you see you?
Well, some people turn that bit off so they can't see themselves, but I'm like, I need to see myself to know that I'm not looking stupid to everybody else. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. It's not like I want to look attractive. Just don't look stupid in front of everybody else.
Exactly.
Minimize the stupidity.
Yeah. But sorry, Claire, go ahead.
I was just going to say that it's the voice recording thing I don't like. When people send messages and they tape their own voice and send it to you, and they want you to listen to it, and they want you to reply with it, and it's like, I don't want you to hear my voice. I'm just going to type. I will type out to you.
I've never understood this modern thing of both videos and audio. Like, just send me a message in text. I can take that in. If you send me a long voice message, I'm not going to remember what you said at the start of the message.
Yeah.
I've got ADHD. I ain't going to remember that.
I know two people who do it regularly. One of them, I am like, why do you send me an audio message? Like, what the hell is the point of this? And the other one, I will admit, is like, as a person who has like a little kid who's running around all the time. And like it's always after the kids come home. So it's probably her going like, I don't have the time to write this out.
That's a bit different.
So it's just like, Yeah, so I'm just going to quickly go like, and then send it, But it's so I can appreciate that. If it's just some guy sitting around in an office or something doing it it's like, you have the time to freaking write the message. Just write the message,
Yeah,
But,
and it's better for everyone if it's written. It's there in front of you. You can think about your answers. Yeah, text over everything.
Yeah.
Oh.
But back in the minute, of course, though, we have, of course, Chucky saw, that little bit of blood on his chin, and then any mangled corpse we would have saw in a car. The animation team sent that off, and Warner Brothers going, "You're pushing your luck, little man." They will let you get away with that tooth later, but that's beyond that, you gotta dial this way back.
Going back to the seatbelt thing, I just thought, even if seatbelts exist in this world, he didn't really have time to put it on, did he? He just got in the car and was like, I'm going to run away. No, actually, I'm going to U-turn and try and run this guy over.
Yeah. There's no, it's a lesson on seatbelt safety. It's just like, no, he would have died anyway with that. I don't think there's there's the off chance that maybe Chucky Saul just faked his death. He's like, oh, everyone thinks I'm dead. And then he got away with it, though. But, it's... He just wants to live with like a Fonzie level of infamy of like, instead of jumping a shark, I drove my car from one garage to the next or whatever. But
it is pretty
I don't think
cool.
that's too big a boast.
Although the huge smash and the sound of the horn like alerts Batman to where the action shifted to, doesn't it? Because initially he looks a little lost, like he was going somewhere else, and now he's got to double back and he's annoyed. He's like, oh, God damn it.
I guess I was thinking, he's a bit of a slowpoke, Batman, in this instance, because like Chucky Saul was only a little bit ahead of him when he was beating up those guys. I guess it might have been like a Spinal Tap scenario where he went down the wrong corridor. He's just like, what? Where the hell did he go?
Maybe he chased that car that we saw briefly.
Oh, yeah.
He thought that was the car escaping, and then turns out, no, it wasn't after all.
Yeah.
He's just probably coming up with a stitch. He's like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. He's just run back up the walkway bit inside the multi-story car park.
And now he's got to go a different way again. He's like, oh, God.
He's just like, chase down the accountant and like his girlfriend going home. He's like, oh, we just want to get out of here, Batman. Please just leave us alone.
Yeah. And then he's like, what's going on here? Why is there a big hole in the wall?
Well, the people down below as well catch a glimpse of him, watching. And my instinct initially was to say, oh, he slipped up here, because people have seen him. But then the more I thought about it, the more I sort of realized that he kind of relies on people catching the odd fleeting glimpses of him. It builds his mystique, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. We do get stuff later about what Batman's reputation is in this universe in particular, about whether he kills or not. I think it's supposed to be a big deal that people see him murdering someone, quote unquote.
Yeah.
In this movie, because it's like it gives license then for the police to be like, right, we're taking him down then, because the one thing stopping us was that he doesn't kill people at least. But now it's like, oh Christ, no, we get full permission to go after him now. But it all reminded me very much of Batman pushed the princess. It's just like it's the ice princess going down off the.
Oh yeah.
The thing again, just like, again, that movie only came out like a year prior as well. So
I hadn't thought of it in that way, because I think I never really imagined, Batman being sort of framed in the same manner.
Yeah. Although I don't think this is a deliberate, at least in Batman Returns, it's a deliberate frame up. This is just more like, he just shouldn't have gone near the ledge, I guess, because he just didn't. But then he has to investigate because he's a detective. So he's like, well, I got to see what happened.
And if he has missed the whole thing, he would be like, what's going on here? And he's not going to know till he looks out and goes, oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he could kind of like glance behind like a wall, but I can kind of see. But I guess he's like, I gotta take it on the chin, and just like, if people see me, they see me, who cares, But I will say, though, in the novelization of this, they begin to introduce a character now who actually did witness everything that happened. It's important that they don't think that Batman killed this person, but that character's name is Burton Ernie.
Oh,
I love it.
Brilliant. And it's like a double whammy, because it's Bert and Ernie and Burton. Yeah,
it's properly up there. Dude, this came out before Batman Forever, so it's like they beat him to the punch with the Dr. Burton thing at the end of that, with Renee Auberjonois playing the psychiatrist at the end of Batman Forever. So Mask of the Phantasm, the novelization at least. did it first. But I'm not going to go into too many details about Burton Ernie, because he's a character who recurs throughout the novelization, and I kind of want to see if I can keep this until the end, until the character is revealed. When you find out who the character is, I'll tell you after we record, Claire, because like I won't keep you waiting for months and months to find out.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
But the character then recurs throughout. But it just should mention the first mention of Burton Ernie occurs now in the book. So just keep a pin in that, if you will.
I'm literally going to put a pin right here.
And I really like this though, in that it's good. I think this is good economic screenwriting for potential, and the off chance that no one's seen a Batman movie before, because they kind of silently establish him as being like a great detective, in that he came there presumably after speaking to the janitor, going like, "Where the hell am I going?" It's like, "Oh, it's up, down, around this corner, and up, around there." It's like, I don't have time for all that, man. What the hell are you doing? Gets there too late. And presumably he could almost have been like, "Oh, that was a freebie. He just drove off the side." that was really easy. But then the fact he turns around and sees the glass, and he instantly pieces together like, "Oh, someone smashed his windscreen." Like, that's now I gotta be suspicious.
Yeah, it's been smashed before he's reached the actual wall and window bit.
Yeah,
and it turns out there's a bit more to the glass as well. Which, because initially I was just like, "Why is Batman so bemused by this glass?" But as we go through the next few minutes, you will find out there's a bit more happening there.
When you pick it up, you can see there's some kind of residue there. You can see there's something on it. It's not just a shiny piece of glass. He's not just like, "Ooh, shiny."
Well, that's what I thought initially, though. I was like, what's he doing? Because I just thought that residue that we find out it is was just like, oh, it's just the way they're drawing the reflection, you know?
Oh, okay.
But no, you're right.
I thought residue. I didn't think shiny reflection. But I can see how you would.
Yeah. But it really reminded me too, because I know they cited it as an influence. I think it's just coincidental, but like, one of the things. Well, did you see The Batman, Claire, when it came out last year? Have you watched it yet?
Yeah, I saw that at the cinema as well.
Hey.
No, good stuff. But because I loved it, because it was. But yeah, I know it's so insanely derivative of other Batman movies. But I was like, it's all the stuff I love. I don't care.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
One of the things I really liked is from the get-go, the opening like 15-20 minutes for me is like, this is all fantastic. And I love that bit of him coming in to the crime scene to investigate the mayor's death. And people since the movie came out criticize him, like, "Oh, he's not much of a detective. He couldn't work out that friggin' Spanish riddle, and he balls up this and he balls up that." And I was like, "Oh, come on, you gotta give him some fallibility." Plus, those riddles were terrible anyway. But I love that there's a bit he comes in the crime scene and all the cops are kind of giving him the side eye, and you just see him silently walking around the body, and he looks over at something on the carpet. He clocks it instantly, and then one of the crime scene photographers is like, "Oh crap!" And they go over and they only just notice the thing the Batman spotted instantaneously, because silently they were going like, "World's greatest detective walks on the scene," and it's just like, well, that's there. You know, all these cops here didn't see it, but I got it straight away and stuff. I think it just reminded me of that too, just like him, Batman, just amongst this thing, just been like, "Oh, the glass was a windscreen. Oh, that's weird," and looking at it like, "Oh, there's something weird on it. I should investigate this further." But and then of course in the Phantasm, bit of a while the Reaper is a chatty Cathy, the Phantasm is a looky-loo. Just had to hang around and see what was happening.
I like that. I think I prefer the looks, just to hang there and be like, what's happening?
Yeah. I suppose once you know who they are, you might appreciate them lingering even more as well.
Yes.
Having a little perv.
Other notes though, just before we get off, because the Phantasm's going to boot up the stairs out the door now, is that the other things from the novelization is that they mentioned specifically that the Phantasm voice has a computer-altered sound, which I know you're saying you could tell it's come through a filter in the previous, or came through a filter in the previous minute, John, but like I was like, I don't know, maybe. I think originally watching it, I was like, it's just kind of a ghostly voice. I wouldn't have thought like it's an altered voice.
Oh, I thought it was. Especially because I knew, it's going to be a person under there. So this is all an act. It's like Batman. It's all like a character they've made, isn't it? So.
Yeah. But also, like, I don't know, specifying that early that it's a computer-sounding voice, I was a bit like, don't get, let the reader believe that it could be, maybe it's a ghost.
Yeah, save that till like 3/4 of the way through. Yeah.
Yeah. And like they put in a little thing. Unfortunately, looking at the drafts of the script seemed to be very late in the day, so they don't have it down. But I don't wonder if at any point they had this in, where the Phantasm actively says to Chuckie Saul, like, gaze upon your death mask, as it's like, leaning in the window and stuff to him. And I just really love that as like it's a creepy line too. Adding in the mask of the Phantasm is the death mask that the victims see. It's just, I love that as a sentiment. I was like, I wonder if you could have done that would have been a really cool. That would be a really friggin' like new The Batman Matt Reeves verse way of doing things like that. Would be like, maybe it's a serial killer who like wears a death mask of the victims before they kill them. So it's like they manage to get like a mold of their face, and then you're looking at your own face, because death masks, what they used to, people don't know, when people died they used to do a sculpt of their face to kind of remember them by and stuff. Really creepy episode of Carnival involving that, actually.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Love that series.
Oh.
And I love the idea of that, like something coming to get you and it's wearing your face, basically. That would be amazing and horrible.
One of my favorite death mask things is in Ring 2, the proper one, not the American one, where Sadako wears her own death mask. It's like, she's got her own face on her face. It's like, oh, that's great.
And people are still like, who could it be? He's like, I got my face on my face, man. How are you not figuring this out?
It's brilliant. I still maintain to this day, Ring 2, scariest movie ever. Watch it, people. Not the American one again.
Yeah. But the way there was a Batman villain called Falseface, getting the Falseface Society. I mean, Matt Reeves, don't go back to the Joker. Like, don't go back. Do Falseface. Do a serial killer who wears death masks of the people he's about to kill. There you go. That's a movie I want to see right there. Although I am also torn of really wanting to see. Someone suggested Mia Goth as the Matt Reeves versus Harley Quinn. I'm like, oh Christ, yeah, I do actually want to see that.
I'd be up for that.
Yeah. Doing her own creepy Victorian ghost child voice as the Harley accent as well. Although I did want to ask too, because I'm curious as people, not because now we have an excuse to talk about it. Because the Phantasm is kind of like a ghostly figure. Have you ever encountered something, supernatural or ghostly? No problem if you haven't, though, because putting other people on the spot, they're just going to be like, nope.
Short answer is no. I don't actually believe in ghosts. Sorry to those who do. But I do find it very fascinating.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll watch sort of ghost series, where they think that they're going to go find real ghosts. Because it's just interesting watching those things, and I like ghost tours and things like that. Like, I find the whole thing fascinating, but I don't personally believe it's actually true. I'm more interested in like the history and the science behind it, if you see what I mean.
No, exactly the same. Yeah. I mean, I've had odd things happen that I can't explain, but at the same time, I'm like, well, it's not a ghost. Something has happened that I just haven't witnessed,
Yeah. All right, Scullies. Okay.
So have you then?
No. Well, again, much like that, I've had strange things have happened to me, as Randy Newman would famously write. But no, I've had bizarre things where I was like, was that a ghost? But I don't think nothing like I've not seen any apparitions, but I'm hoping to be able to throughout the season. Someone's bound to have seen something. But,
yeah, I know people who have and who believe in it, but yeah.
Well, it's fine. It's always the people who are in that I kind of like really into horror movies and stuff too. They're always the people who are like, no, I don't believe in any of that, but I'm interested. Like our friend Ash, he's like got his mom has apparently seen very crazy things.
Yeah.
And Ash himself's like, no, that didn't happen. Like, that's, I believe that she believes it, but like I think that it was hallucinations and things like this.
If you believed it and you were really into that kind of thing, I don't think you could then watch loads of horror movies because they would creep you out more.
Yeah, if you believe in it and you watched a ghost film, you would freak the hell out, wouldn't you? Because, yeah.
Although you say that maybe you do it to desensitize yourself to
maybe
ghosts and stuff, but although it always just makes me think of You know, Life by Desiree. You know, Life, oh life.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. One of the worst lyrics ever written was I don't want to see a ghost. It's the sight I fear the most. Rather have a piece of toast. Like, that was like a #1 single. That line made it in. Are you taking the piss?
At the same
that's
time,
insane.
as bad as it is, I agree. I'd rather have a piece of toast.
Sometimes I would be like, well, you know, could I forego one piece of toast to confirm the afterlife? You know? I'm thinking maybe you're the one.
If that was an agreed upon thing, like give up one piece of toast and we'll give you the answer either way, I'd be like, oh, okay. In that circumstance, yeah.
But you had to give up toast altogether. Like, I don't know, man. I really like toast, you know?
To be honest, I like toast, but I never eat it. So I could give it up, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd give up toast in order to see a ghost if it was real. Yeah.
That's it. I have toast every day, multiple times a day. I love toast.
I do really like toast, but I don't have it very often, like John said.
So I never have bread in the house. I don't really eat bread. I eat pita bread, but that's about it. So that's going to be the question for the season. Not, have you seen anything spooky? It's going to be, would you sacrifice toast for a ghost?
The thing is, I have to explain where the question, or like just not explain it at all. People's like, all right, so the question of the season is.
I think you should go straight in with that toast for ghost, and then ask if they've had a ghost experience afterwards.
Yeah.
And if the person then says, "Is this in any relation to the song Life?" It's like it is. It is the relation to the song.
You got it.
But yeah, so other note I do have for this minute is just the note that Chuckie Saul was mentioned in another animated movie, Batman Bad Blood, which movie I did see when it came out, and I didn't think it was very good, so I didn't want to go revisit it. But I noticed when I was doing the research, they were like, oh yeah, he's in this, he's voiced by a guy, he's part of Black Mask's gang. And the picture, it took me ages to work out what the hell was going on. Because, you know, they have, like, Chuckie Saul in this. It's just a picture of the character. And the other one was, like, this, you know, this, it's a proper, like, what am I looking at here? And I think he's hung upside down with a bag over his head. I think it's kind of like he must be getting killed or someone's about to slit his throat or something like that. But it was a good, you know, 6 to 7 minutes of my time looking at that picture going, what is this? Like, what the hell? How is this a picture of a guy? And then like, oh, right. So, but yeah. Does anyone else have any notes for minute 5? Or
No, I think we've covered everything of mine.
Yeah. I mean, we end the minute, of course, with Bats just looking up, spying the Phantasm, beginning to pursue. Misses his chance, though. So we'll have to see what happens in the next minute. Should
say our first squint of the movie, the classic Conroy Bat squint, which is seminal. This version of the character, because like, of course, it was in the beginning. You know, the intro to the animated series was like that fantastic little sequence of him stopping the two guys on the roof. And it always has Batman jumping into place and dun 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 dun, and it cuts the close up of his face, and he's just doing doing that squint, and that date back even to the pilot. They had the kind of the still oil painting looking thing of his face doing a little squinty thing, and
it's clever because like it being animated, you know, obviously we've talked throughout the other movies about how different actors will emote even though their face is covered. Obviously animated you can't. So how do you show emotion? They've thought about everything, like the squint, that like little subtle things with the drawing changing gives you totally different emotions. It's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this fantastic stuff. Yeah. Just like it's just an iconic an eye move as Spock's eyebrow. I would say at this point that Batman squint.
Yeah,
so.
But then the police sirens blare. That's the minute ends.
Yep.
What's going to happen? You're going to have to wait and see, people. You have to wait and see. We're not going to tell you, and you're not allowed to watch ahead. If you watch ahead, you're banned.
We'll know.
Yeah,
will know.
I see all. If you watch ahead, I'm coming for you. Okay. But no, that will wrap up minute 5. And much like last season, this is a Wednesday episode. I can't be bothered promoting stuff. We'll promote again on Friday. Just come and talk to us on all the Facebook, Twitter, all that nonsense. And yes, we will see you again on Friday with minute 6 of Bat Minute of the Phantasm.
Next time, holy jumped up gerrymandering. We're telling you, friends, it's soapbox scaremongering at its deadliest, as a churlish city councilman puts Gordon's patience to the test. There's aggravation aplenty in a new antagonist named Arthur, but is it enough to distract a dutiful detective from his dense, long-chain macromolecular polymer? Press your tights for Friday, folks. It's gonna be an exploding gas ball. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Must have
up, stiff it,